Win the toss and bat, we said. Win the toss and bat. Well, that was a turn for the record books. England absolutely annihilated Australia in that semi-final. Somewhat a complete contrast to yesterday. But in some ways, so similar. This is your semi-final review. Yes, guys, the Cricket World Cup is reaching its conclusion. The final places have been decided. England, the favourites going in, expected to be in the final. At one point, it looked like they wouldn't even make the semi-finals, the knockout stages. But they're there. New Zealand, the surprise team, the dark horses, the ones, the no-hopers. We ripped them off at time and time again this tournament. And they've reached their second successive World Cup final. We dealt with New Zealand and India yesterday. Today we are dealing with England. England and Australia. Now, you gotta say, England have proved today why they are the world's #1 team when it comes to ODI cricket. For the last 2 years at least, 4 years arguably, but 2 years, they've been playing a brand of cricket that no team can really match when they're on their game. Now, of course, India are up there with the best, and the conditions favour that of England. But as I said, they came into the tournament as favourites for a reason. And the way they dealt with Australia, it's impressive, very impressive. Australia won the toss, went to bat, and I think, well, Morgan said that if he won the toss, he would have batted as well. It was a good toss to lose because, yes, both teams were definitely going to bat, knowing the form going into the game, knowing that batting first meant that you were more likely to win. Now, we all know that you have to do your job properly. If you bat first, you need to get runs. If you bowl first, you need to restrict. If you bat second, you need to chase, etc., etc. But batting first seems to be the way to go in the tournament so far. However, overcast conditions were around for about the first hour, 10:30 to about 11:30 local time. So it meant that if you put the ball in the right places, you can nip out a few early. And the reality is both teams, and you could argue most of the teams in the tournament, the middle order hasn't really been tested. Now, we know England bat deep, and that's where they have a benefit compared to other teams. But the likes of Morgan, other than the century against Afghanistan, the likes of Butler, except for the century against Pakistan, hasn't really been in the runs. The lower order hasn't really been in the runs. The only one in that middle to lower order who's really been in the runs is Ben Stokes. So you're really talking about the top three: Bairstow, Roy, Root, and then Ben Stokes. So if you can get into that middle order, then you got a chance. And it's the same with Australia. Finch, Warner, Smith, obviously Khawaja being out, they were the key. And then you got Alex Carey, the wicketkeeper. Everyone else, Maxwell, Stoinis, we know they brought in Hanscom for this game because Khawaja was out. None of them's really scored much runs. So you're really relying, much like India, you're relying on your front, your big hitters, 1, 2, 3, possibly 4, depending on where that person bats. But your top 3 batsmen to get the runs, and if they go early, you're in trouble. Now, India lost their wickets early, and they were in trouble chasing down that low score. Australia, they were blown away early. Archer and Wilkes put the ball in the right position with the cloud cover. The ball was just nipping off the seam, off the pitch, and before you knew it, Australia 14 for 3. Warner gone, Finch gone, Hanscom gone, and it was down to Steve Smith. We know how great a batsman he is. He just needed someone to bat with him, bat around him, because he was there to take it to the end, and he pretty much took it near to the end. It got them a score that, whilst would never put them in the pole position to win the game, we saw yesterday the runs in the semi-final still have to be made. So it's something to bowl at. So his innings really did that, but he needed someone to play, let's say, the Jadeja innings that he played for India. Alex Carey looked like he could be that, and when him and Smith were going, you were thinking, all right, if Australia can get up to 280, that's a more than competitive score. 300 would have been remarkable, but 280 a bit more realistic. But then he went trying to hit Rashid over the top. In the same over, they lost another wicket. I can't remember who it was now actually, but Rashid got 2 in the. It must be Stoinis got 2 in the over, and that really set Australia back. But then they brought him. Then Maxwell came in, and we know that if he scores runs, he scores them quickly, and he was 20 of 20 in no time, and then he gave his wicket away, like he has done throughout the tournament. He gets a quick 20, quick 30, and then gives it away. And it was left with Smith to try and nurdle the tail to somewhat of a competitive total. And in reality, 220? It was never going to be a competitive total. 223 was the final score. You have to give credit to the bowlers. England bowlers, Wilkes, as I said, and Archer at the top. And then Rashid in the middle. They were really the ones who did the damage. Plunkett, Wilkes, they did alright. Stokes, alright, but those were the wicket takers. Those were the wicket takers. Wood didn't have his greatest day, but I guess he didn't really need to. When England did the damage so early, Australia from that point on were playing against the tide, behind the 8 ball, and it meant England had to come out and score 224 to make it to the first World Cup final since 1992. And I had a feeling it will go how it went, because when you're chasing these low totals, especially as the wicket had got better than and the conditions had got better than at the start of Australia's innings, when you're chasing these low totals, what you want to do is get off to a good start. You want to put all the pressure that's already on there, but you want to put all that pressure onto the opposition and relieve it from your dressing room. So that means you want to score quickly. So even if you lose a couple wickets, you're still well ahead of the rate, so the next batsman can come in, play themselves in, and then go again. If you're just keeping up with the rate, or even slightly behind because you're trying to get a feel of it, and you happen to get, all it takes is one ball to lose your wicket. You happen to get nipped out, 1, 2 down, 3 down inevitably. Unfortunately, if that ends up, and then you're behind the 8 ball again. You want to get ahead of the rate, and that's what Roy and that's what Bairstow are used to doing with this brand of cricket, and that's what they did. Stark was hit all over the place, burned off, hit all over the place. They brought in the spinners, Nathan Lyon, Steve Smith, and they were attacked straight away. And this plan from England was clear. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we've done it for the last 2-3 years. This is how we're going to go win this game. And in reality, it was easy, comfortable. There's not even much to say other than just to praise England about the way they went about winning it. Because it's in those low totals, it's easy to get bogged down, and before you know it, you're 4-5 down, and you're nudging and nurdling. But the way they won this, it gives them confidence going into the final, if they need it anymore, and makes New Zealand that much more wary if they needed to be themselves, because they know the strengths of England, having played them in the group game. Bairstow had a bit of an injury, so we're going to see if he can make the final. A bit of a groin injury, look like. Jason Roy, you have to say, actually, he is rather lucky to be playing the final. He made 85, and he got a bad decision, giving out nicking or gloving down the leg side. He actually didn't touch it, and he went to review, but they'd already, Jason Roy, Johnny Bairstow had already used his review in his LBW, Plum LBW, which Jason Roy told him to. So, if anything, Jason Roy played himself. He told Bairstow to use a review for an LBW that was Plum. They lost it. The next over, he gloves it down the side, and it's given, but he can't review it. But he's remonstrating with the two umpires. Oh, but it looked like you were going to give it wide, and you gave it out instead. And then he walks off. There's a bit of dissent there at the decision. But the square leg umpire, Mariah Rasmus, said to him, no, you need to go. The decision has been given. And as he's walking past the non-strikers, and the non-strikers stump mic picks up saying, an effing disgrace. Now, we know in cricket those kind of expletives and obscenities and that kind of dissent is not tolerated. He's lucky he only got away with a 30% match fee fine, because maybe if it wasn't a World Cup final, the fine would have been bigger. Maybe if the umpires themselves heard that, it could have been more, could have been a ban. But maybe it's the fact that it was just a stump mic that picked it up and it wasn't directed directly at the umpire, even if they was referring to the umpire's decision, that may have saved him. And the fact that it's a World Cup final and you want the best players playing. Some conspiracy theorists were saying that if India were the other finalists, the ICC would have banned him, obviously to give India the benefit. But we don't deal with if, buts or maybes on this channel. But yes, England into the final, where of course they are the favourites, the home of cricket, Lords, New Zealand, the underdogs. But we saw in that semi-final, you cannot write them off. I would say batting first in this game is very, very important, in the sense that I can't see New Zealand chasing a big total, but I can see them defending a low total. So New Zealand, more than anyone, would want to get on that pitch first, get a score of 250 plus, and with their bowlers, put England under pressure. If England bat first, they're going to be aiming for 300 plus, and I can't see this New Zealand side chasing that kind of score down. But this World Cup has been brilliant. It's thrown so many shocks and excitement, whether it's in the field with the ball, with the bat, in the crowd even. It's thrown that all together and made one of the best tournaments, despite the weather, one of the best tournaments I've seen in a long, long time. Good luck to New Zealand. Good luck to England in Sunday's final. The question is cricket coming home? That's it from me with your semi-final review of the Cricket World Cup. I'll see you lot after the final.